Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball.
Tuesday, May 19th at 10:30 a.m., it's morning baseball. Wednesday, May 20th at 6:30 p.m., have a pawsome time at Bark in the Park. Thursday, May 21st at 6:30, it's Pride Night with $5 Bud or Bud Light draft beer. Individual game tickets start at just $12.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats. The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Now, from New York City to the world, it's Dominic Carter.
And we are back. Joining us live, and I look forward to this each and every week, is former Congressman Peter King. Congressman, I hope your family is well, but I got to tell you, I got a bone to pick with you, Congressman King.
Actually, we're all doing great. We're down in Louisiana at Tulane for my grandson's graduation.
And that's why I had a bone to pick with you, because you haven't briefed me on the graduation, and I want to know how it went.
Actually, Dominic, it went great. There's actually two ceremonies. There was the one on Friday, which was for his school. It was a business school. And then there was the one for the entire university the next day. They were both held in the Superdome. And everything went well. The weather was perfect. Apparently it rained the whole week before, and it's raining all the time after that. But that day it was great, and it was great being with Jack. He was in great spirits. Everything went well. My daughter was obviously her husband. My granddaughter was there, and Rosemary and I. We had a nice hotel. Everything was terrific. Couldn't have been better.
So I know you and your wife must be so proud.
Oh, we are. And Jack's been a great kid. Now he's almost 22, so he's not a kid anymore. But he's always been, great to be with. Good personality. He's puts up with old timers. He's into old school things. He tolerates us, and he has a good time with us. He also has a lot of young friends. So he's just doing well. We couldn't ask for more. And he did well in school. Got good grades. Has a good job coming up, and so he's very happy.
I'm so glad to hear that. So now I no longer have a bone to pick with you. You return to your status as one of my most favorite people. What I want to know is that, and I emphasize to our audience, you and we never prepare this segment, and I like it that way, because I know I can throw anything at you and you roll with it. So I want to start things a little different this week. So you've got Trump making his endorsement in the Texas Senate race. I want your reaction on that. But Congressman King, as far as you're concerned, there's so many things going on. There's Mamdani, his anti-Semitic wife, question of whether Mamdani, what, in your opinion, what's the most important story right now? There's Iran that you feel we should be starting with.
I would say probably Iran, as far as the long term, Iran could have the most consequences, the most immediate consequences. I think Mamdani here in New York, because he could right away, in fact, he is, putting in changes which will bring about lasting damage to the city going forward. Giuliani got us out of the last the last amount of chaos that was going on in the city. But I would say the situation could be worse now with Mamdani, so no matter who comes in afterwards. If it's Giuliani number 2, he would not be able, I think, to make the improvements that Rudy made the first time, because Mamdani is such a committed socialist. I think he's very intelligent, knows what he's doing. He's putting in people who are going to implement what he wants, and that could create lasting damage. As far as Iran, obviously, you have world peace is at stake there. I think that if the president doesn't get real compromise, real terms back from Iran by the weekend, he's going to have to go ahead, because when you have events coming up like the World Cup and the 50th anniversary of the United States, you can't have all of that lingering out there with high gas prices and the uncertainty in Iran. So I think the president is going to make tough decisions by the weekend.
Well, Congressman King, you used to sit on those congressional panels that would receive those committees, the private briefings, briefings that even till today, some of them you still can't talk about publicly. So I've heard a lot of people say, as it relates to Iran, that what we've got to be careful about is that lone wolf is already here, ready to attack. Is that a concern of yours?
Yes, absolutely. We've known, for years that Hezbollah, which is the Iranian terror operative, there's hundreds, if not thousands of them in the New York area. Now, not all of them are here as trained terrorists. They're here to raise money. They're involved in different types of swindles to fund what's going on back in Iran, to try to spread propaganda around, to generate some support from Iran. But we have to assume, and this has been the assumption by all of the top intelligence people, that a number of these people here are trained terrorists and killers, and that they are waiting for a notice from Iran as to when to act. And now, I know that I'm going back to when Ray Kelly was the commissioner. He monitored them carefully. In fact, he even had a number of them arrested and deported. That was from the Iranian delegation to the UN when they were caught spying in the United States or trying to scope out targets. And there were any number of, I'm sure, and I'm not on the inside like I used to be, but that I'm hoping and I'm confident the NYPD and other police departments are monitoring those they believe are potential Hezbollah agents here in the United States or other affiliated terrorists with Iran. We saw the arrest the other day of the person, al-Sali, I guess his name was, and that was from a group that I had never heard of before, but is an Iraqi version of Hezbollah. It's like an offshoot. So that was a new one. But he was, again, the fact that he was being monitored and we didn't even know anything about the organization shows that the intelligence and the law enforcement agencies are trying their best to do the job. However, their hands have been tied a lot. There's no doubt. The NYPD is doing a great job. Jessica Tisch is doing a great job. The Deputy Commissioner, Rebecca Weiner, is doing a great job. But they cannot do all that they were doing, for instance, when Ray Kelly was the commissioner. So they're trying to make do with less and also some restrictions on them. But I'm still confident if anybody can get it done, they can. I know that Nassau County and out in Suffolk County, now Tom Galati, who was a counterterrorism chief in the NYPD, is now working in Suffolk County. And the sheriff out there, Errol Toulon, is very tuned in also. And the police commissioner out there is also from the NYPD. So they are, again, Nassau, Suffolk, and NYPD are working closely with the FBI. But having said all that, all you need is that one or two that slip through the cracks and you're in trouble.
Absolutely. So, Congressman Peter King, it seems so long ago with the way our news cycles go, but I would describe President Trump in China as extremely successful. You have the Boeing 200 aircraft deal. You had all these tech leaders with the president. How would you assess his trip in China?
I would say it was so far, reasonably successful. We don't know all that went on behind the scenes. I'm hoping that the president was able to get some commitments from President Xi about taking action to reopen the Straits of Hormuz or to put pressure on Iran. It appears that the president resisted the threats coming from China about Taiwan. If you notice, in the statement put out by China, they listed all the things that China was demanding, but it put nothing about the American response, which had to mean that the American response was, we're not listening. So that, to me, is positive. And also, we should try to keep in mind that, we complain a lot, and I say we, all of us do, about the economic conditions here in the United States. Things should be better. Things are slowing down. Prices are going up. We are infinitely better than China. China is definitely on the decline, and that's a reality we should face. Yes, there is, quote-unquote, superpower, but they're nowhere near the power that we are, and we should keep that in mind.
Agreed. So answer this for me, Congressman, because I've been doing this 40 years, and I have never seen a situation where the type of mayor that we have, all of these stupid, ridiculous socialist ideas, the supermarkets, it already failed in Kansas City, but he's going to do it anyway, bringing it to East Harlem and to the Hunts Point section of the Bronx. Explain this Mamdani guy to me. I mean, because he thinks he's so slick. His wife, okay, wait a minute. How is his wife? She's clearly anti-Semitic. How is he able to get away with this?
She should be able to. He can't use the excuse that she's not in the government. The fact is they both live in government housing. She gets around the clock, police protection and support. Her husband is the mayor of the most powerful and important city in the world. And to me, she should be called out by the media. He should be asked much more penetrating questions about it. I think she should come public and defend her positions. Because this isn't like being a conservative or a liberal or Republican or Democrat. We're talking about out-and-out anti-Semitism, racism, and basically allying yourself with dedicated enemies of the United States of America. I don't know any situation where we've had that before, such a radical. And listen, anyone can be for or against a war. They can say we should be spending more on defense, less on defense. All of that is within proper debate. But to be extolling the way she did and enabling the supporters of October 7th and the consistent anti-American themes that we found in what she said and done, and then you enter that Mamdani's father, these are issues that are not just the quirk in the family, like Jimmy Carter had his brother Billy Carter, things like that. No, those are family quirks. This is something that goes right to the heart. She's a very young, educated woman. She obviously, she and Mamdani have a good relationship, and yet he can't just say, well, she has her views, I have mine. Her views are so penetrating and so radical and so bigoted and prejudiced and biased and anti-American that I believe he has to explain how he resolves that.
But Congressman King, and maybe you can answer this for me, because the bulldog journalists, those days are gone. Now it's all about clickbait and you want to be friends with the politicians. I don't understand. I mean, even this lady, the city's first lady, even her music is anti-Semitic. You would think as a woman that she would be able to identify with the Israeli women in terms of what was done to Israeli women October 7th. And it seems like she just doesn't care. And reporters, they refuse to ask Mamdani a single tough question. How is this, Congressman King?
Yeah, Dominic, I will disagree with one thing you said at the beginning, that reporters no longer are heavily engaged in investigation. I remember when Judge Alito's wife flew the American flag upside down, it became a national scandal.
It
she
sure
flew
did.
the flag upside down when President Trump left office, and they were going after Judge Alito. How could his wife be doing this? That's just flying the American flag as a sign of protest. Here you have a mayor's wife in a city with the largest number of Jews in the world, I guess, except for Jerusalem, and a city which has been attacked by Islamist terrorists, and Israel, one of our closest allies, is being attacked. Anti-Semitic incidents and rages are occurring all over the city, in our universities, on our streets, at our public places, and his wife is basically siding with them. Whether she says it explicitly that way or not, that's the only conclusion to what she's been saying. And he's not asked her. That's considered like a personal question. To me, that is not personal at all. In fact, it's almost like an insult to him and his wife to say, well, your wife has all these beliefs which are so opposed to what New York stands for, and yet we shouldn't ask you about it? I mean, is she that insignificant that her views mean nothing to him?
Wow. All I say, Congressman King, is imagine the pillow talk that these two have, because she clearly hates America, and Mamdani doesn't appear to be far. I notice emphasis on appear. Doesn't appear to be far behind in terms of sharing her views. The fact that he is the mayor of New York City, it just says it all. I'll close on this, Congressman King. We have a minute left here. The strike, it's over just in time for the Knicks game tonight. People to get back and forth to work. 300,000 people from your neck of the woods out towards that area. As it relates to the race for governor, does the strike impact the race or no?
I think it should. It should be a real negative against Kathy Hochul to allow it to get that far. She is the governor. She has extraordinary power, and to me it showed really a lack of interest. The fact they were able to resolve it after the strike started. Why go through that? Why put so many hundreds of thousands of people through that? To me, she was asleep at the wheel, and she was afraid to exert the power that a governor does have. And that power is more than just maybe what's in the books. It's a real power. Nelson Rockefeller had it. Hugh Carey had it. Mario Cuomo had it. George Pataki certainly had it. And Andrew Cuomo in his good days had it. So the fact is there. She didn't know how to exercise it, and that's why I think Bruce Blakeman is going to be our next governor.
Yeah, I say don't sleep on Blakeman. The guy's got the look, he's got the ideas, he's got the energy. Congressman King, as always, a great pleasure to chat with you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Tony. Thank you.